Donald Trump was told repeatedly that the plan to challenge the election result was unlawful. Just how damning are these allegations for Donald Trump?
Look, I've been asked that question about outrageous behaviour by Donald Trump so many times over the last 6 years. You wonder if anything will ever stick here. At the same time, Danica, as we had this amazing testimony, by the way, coming out of the January 6th committee, Trump-backed nominees in Republican primaries were doing actually pretty well all over the United States. Some lost, but many won. And so Trump's power over the Republican Party, I think, remains unabashed. Moreover, today's testimony, one of the takeouts is that it condemns Mike Pence, who in the eyes of many is a hero for, in some tellings, saving the Republic on January 6th, but damning his future as a Republican politician going forward. Such is the power of Donald Trump, and such, Danica, to get back to your question, I don't know that it hurts him at all with the people that matter most, and that are the people that are voting in Republican primary elections ahead of these midterms and potentially ahead of the 2024 presidential election.
You're right, you have been asked this so many times before, and you raise a good point. Does it stick? I mean, that really is the key here. But based on what has been heard so far, do you believe that the hearings will at all lead to an indictment of Donald Trump?
It is a huge, huge call for a Justice Department led by Merrick Garland and under Joe Biden's presidency to bring a prosecution against a former president. That's never been done in the history of the Republic, as best as I'm aware. Congress had 2 shots at impeaching him, and did impeach him twice, the only president that's happened to while he was in office. I think, if anything, the jeopardy comes for people that were very close to him. John Eastman, the lawyer referenced in Annalise's report and featuring prominently in today's testimony, he is in a world of trouble. And as one Trump lawyer said to him, you better get a damn good, and I'm cleaning that quote up, a damn good criminal defense attorney. Whether that, in turn, there's another role here to go, and Annalise alluded to it, is there more testimony that they've got, some sort of smoking gun where someone is going on the record, not just that people were saying to Trump, there's no precedent for this is an illegal direction, but that then someone's got Trump saying, I don't care, and you know, something that finally goes one step even beyond where we are. Does the committee have that in reserve? Or when they prosecute someone, and I think they will prosecute someone, do they then present that as evidence when they're in the dock? And I think, you know, this has got a little ways to go. The only other point I'd make, Danny, this is the House of Representatives doing this. They could not get this committee of inquiry to get any traction at all in the Senate, where it's a 50-50 Senate, because Republicans, particularly Senate Republicans, do not want to cross Donald Trump. And so that points to, I think, there's a very narrow window of time. If this is going to result in prosecution, the clock is starting to run out. I know we're not even halfway through the Biden presidency, but this idea that this is going to turn into a criminal indictment of Trump per se, I still think we're a long way from that just yet.
You mentioned those close to Donald Trump being brought up in all this, and it's not too far before the next election. So how can the Republican Party reform, get itself together again ahead of that time?
Look, it's a really great question as we watch, do the Trump-backed candidates get up in their primary contests or not? It is a mixed story, and that itself is very interesting. We're going to get the first test of this will be, look, expectations are that Republicans take back the House of Representatives this November, and with a majority that is tilted even more in the MAGA direction. Now, if that's the case, I think the on-ramp to Trump resurging back into power at the head of the Republican Party in 2024, that becomes more likely. I think you've got to assume at this point Trump is running for president in 2024. All of this evidence that we're hearing notwithstanding. And it's just a remarkable statement about where politics more generally in the United States is right now, but where Republican politics is in particular. That judge we just heard from, in the ordinary course of events, that is an extremely conservative judge. That judge was second in line. He was the second pick behind Justice Alito when they were looking to fill the Supreme Court seat. So you've got incredibly conservative Republicans. I saw the former ambassador, A.B. Culverhouse, to Australia, a very conservative Republican lawyer, there supporting one of Pence's advisors, so the whole party has just slid so far away from from all known fixed reference points about what's conservative, what's middle of the road in the Republican Party. It is not a Republican Party that many of us recognize anymore. So making predictions about Trump, it just becomes that much harder. But at this point, like I said, Danica, you've got to bet he's running, and he is the front runner, the presumptive nominee for 2024. All of this, what we're hearing, notwithstanding.
Absolutely extraordinary turn of events, really. Just finally, we are running out of time, but you mentioned about the Trump-backed candidates having this mixed success during the primaries in several key states. Where are they doing best at the moment? And was that always likely to be the case?
No, it wasn't. Well, I'll give you a couple of examples. One, a Pennsylvania Senate race where Dr. Oz, a very high-profile former cardiac surgeon turned media celebrity superstar, very much in the Trump mold. He has got the Republican nomination for a Senate race there, very winnable seat for Republicans in an off year, which, not when the presidency is up in 2022. And J.D. Vance, the author of Hillbilly Elegy, has won the Republican nomination for the Senate in Ohio. And again, those are states. Ohio has become more of a Republican state over time, used to be a middle-of-the-road state. And Pennsylvania is a very mixed bag. It went for Trump in 2016. It swung back to Biden in 2020. But very much that Senate seat up for grabs. And that just speaks to, particularly, the Senate is really where the action's at. It's a 50-50 body at the moment. Expectations are that Republicans will take the House, but if it is Trump-backed candidates putting them over the top in the U.S. Senate, that drags that body, the deliberative body of American politics, the House of Review, where nominations and treaties are deliberated, it drags that body further to the right, and it'll be an incredibly difficult political management problem, say, for a Mitch McConnell, who is still on the record as being incredibly critical of Donald Trump, particularly on January 6th and in the immediate aftermath. So it is still Trump's party, and it looks like, particularly in some of those Senate nominations, he is putting his mark on the future composition of Republican governing majorities, potentially in both chambers of the U.S. Congress.
Well, this is going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out. We'll be watching it closely. Simon Jackman, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Danica. Pleasure.